Hello guys, so I hope you enjoyed the machinima. It's been a while since my last episode. I wasn't intending to leave it this long, but I have been busy with my new job. It's going very, very well. It's one of those jobs for me personally that doesn't even feel like I'm doing work. And those jobs are the best kind of jobs. So in my last video, I actually got messages and comments about plot holes, what about certain characters, and I just want to clarify some things, so I really want to use this last episode of the year. I think it will be the last episode of the year. Whether I can get another episode up before the end of the year, who knows? I don't know. But I did actually get some comments and messages about certain plot lines not being either finished or filled in properly. They want to know what happened to certain characters. It's like certain characters dropped off the face of the earth, and that wasn't my intention. I am very scatterbrained of a person, so I do actually have all of these stories and all these details just in my mind, just floating in the void up there, but trying to put it down in an orderly manner is something that I struggle with quite a lot. So I'm really hoping that this episode actually fills in some of the gaps that people were actually missing from previous storylines. Plus, I would say that not all the stories have actually ended yet. So because I know that I'm better at writing things than I am at saying things in the correct order, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link below my notes for this episode in the description. So if there's anything that you would want to be clarified a little bit more, or if you're confused on a certain section, I would definitely recommend reading through my notes because I do miss things quite a bit. So I'm really hoping that the notes should help in the way of filling in the gaps. So first off, we are going to start off in the household of Mariposa because of the machinima. So last year, Yulia, Pieris and Sky actually went on a state visit to Loka, and that's where Sky met Isla, Pieris met Dana, even though not formally. But something else happened while they were out of Mariposa. Argus proposed to Iris. Now Argus absolutely loves Iris to the ends of the earth and back, but she turned him down. Now, her reasoning behind this, as said in the machinima, is that she definitely feels like she can't live up to the queens that have come before her. She's never seen herself in that light whatsoever, and she also wants to go out and do things for herself because she has actually lived in the castle all of her life. So Iris is actually the best friend of Holly. She's in between the ages of Argus and Pieris. She is pretty much the childhood friend turned lover. So during the machinima, Argus and Yulia are talking about this whole deal going down, as well as Yulia has the same disease that Callias actually died of. And when she said her wings are already withering, that is because in my artwork that the Mariposans and Avians have wings of their own. The Avians' wings of birds and the Mariposans the wings of butterflies. I also kind of imagine that vitiligo could actually be a symptom of this disease, and the reason for that is because in the illustration of her disease, it shows her wings fading, withering. The pigment of the wings are actually draining, so it would kind of make sense in terms of like Sims logic. It is not my intention to undermine anybody with vitiligo. I'm not sure whether you can see it, but I actually made Yulia's skin a bit more textured, and I feel like she would also try and hide it because she's the queen. She wants to have a strong outward appearance to her subjects and also to her family as well, because none of the family actually know that she has this disease except for Argus. And this is something else that's brought up at the end of the machinima. Argus does not want to deal with all of this information alone, because he's been dealing with this information alone this entire time. I hope this is coming across okay. But the last thing to bring up about the machinima is that Argus is going to go on a tour around the other kingdoms and try and find candidates for a bride. And I actually have 3 possible candidates lined up. I had to look around my game to try and find some. Also, I recently just downloaded the update to the Better Sims mod, and it's got an added on version that has metabolism, and a star sign. So a lot of the Mariposan royals are actually Virgos. Wasn't my intention to have like a load of Virgos, but okay. This just automatically applies them a star sign. Whether it's exactly the right star sign for them is yet to be seen. But the metabolism part of this is actually really interesting to see. It says that Yulia is a heavy sleeper, which makes sense in the form of her disease, especially with her father Callias being incredibly exhausted. She doesn't gain weight very quickly either. Currently Isla is in the household because I was taking screenshots before this episode. I would say just take the star signs all with a grain of salt at the moment because I have not corrected them in the slightest. I've just seen them automatically applied to the characters right now. I've spent a while building up a Mariposa castle because I cannot help myself but build castles in The Sims, but never finish any of them. So I know it's the middle of the night in my game right now. Just pretend it is always daytime. Okay, so I've actually been sitting here for about 10 minutes in real time, actually trying to figure out how to put this across in the episode, because I kind of had a thought to actually do majority of Argus's tour through story posts instead of the episode. So in the episode, we're just going to actually skip to the part of the tour where he actually finds eligible candidates for a potential bride. Even though I want to show a lot of the stuff in the episodes, I feel like it would come across a lot better in a story post, because sitting here looking at all these worlds makes me dread all of the loading screens I would have to sit through for this episode. So I think one of the first places that Argus would actually go is to Loka, but there are actually no eligible bachelorettes in Loka, so I feel like Jonathan and Loki would actually say to Argus that how about Hallie? Hallie still is in the process of rebuilding and restructuring, so it would actually make sense to make the most of that. Okay, so the first noble lady that he is to meet is Lady Ariana Groves of Hallie. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Lady Ariana is actually the daughter of Sir Clive, or Lord Clive, of Hallie's royal council, and of course he pounced upon this opportunity for his daughter.
Oh, no.
Oh, that didn't look like a good start. Okay. Okay, they already have sentiments about each other. I personally don't see Argus like fully falling in love with any of the candidates because he's so in love with Iris that he just doesn't really want to open up his heart anymore. He feels like any marriage that he will end up making will be loveless with his sister and their super siblings. Oh my god. Oh, that's so sweet. They're super siblings. So at least Ariana and Argus have actually become friends. Oh, was she talking about marriage there? Clive would not be happy if he heard you. So once I have introduced Argus in-game to all of these bachelorettes, I'm actually going to invite them to Mariposa to actually see what they're like with Yulia and which one Yulia kind of feels like would actually be a good fit. Now, obviously, Argus has the final say. With Yulia being the queen and his older sister, she would want to make sure that Argus is making a good choice. So I just want to clear it up that the candidates are more for Argus to start courting in the possibility to find a wife later on. Not for him to drop down on one knee in this episode and propose, because that's not the goal. The goal is to meet the candidates, see which ones he likes, Yulia likes, and even who you like as well as the audience. So our second bachelorette is actually Bethany of Dune. And for those of you who have actually been on my art channel for like a really long time, you'll know Bethany is one of my original 7 characters. I feel like all of these other monarchs were actually struggling to find any eligible maidens for Argus to actually just see and meet. And he actually has a buff that says, so this is Oasis Springs. He's actually really interested in the fact that it's a new place. He's never been to Dune before. It's very bright in here. Okay. Oh my god. She has a crush on Argus. Then again, Argus is known to be quite academic, and so is Bethany. Bethany is quite smart as well. That's actually interesting. I never thought that that would be a thing. I did not automatically set these first impressions. This is actually the first time in game that they've met, and the fact that she has a crush, that was something that was not in my notes. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Why would you do this to me? Bethany, I trusted you. Why? Argus is not the monarch, however, it says he is completely beloved by the people. I feel like the people of Mariposa actually understand how valuable he is to the royal family and how much of a really good successor that Yulia actually has. People are still expecting Yulia to actually get married and have children, but she's already made the decision that she just won't. Obviously unknown to the people of Mariposa. However, the people of Mariposa are actually really, really happy with Argus. But she is a genius, a bookworm, she's outgoing, she's also a fast learner, and it also says she's a quick learner as well. So I feel like in terms of intelligence, Bethany is on Argus's level. Bethany actually went to university to be a teacher. Oh, I love that. I love how he finds her imaginative as well. So Bethany is actually part genie, part spellcaster. In terms of the game, she's a spellcaster. Bethany is the cousin of Lord Zane, the husband to Princess Ebony of Dune. Okay, so now that he's met Bethany, let's meet the last bachelorette on our list. So the last lady that Argus is going to meet is Aoi Nakamura. So she totally was not a townie before I made her over. Yes, she was a townie. But I did give her a makeover and I actually made her a noble of Artro, which kind of makes sense because I hadn't really developed outside of Artro's main core royal family. Obviously, I did imagine that there were nobles of each kingdom, but I never really went into specifics about their names, what their family dynamics are like. I only really focused on the main family of Arturo. But yes, this is Aoi. She looks very, very pretty. I love her. Okay, so these two did not get sentiments when they met, like the first impressions. Okay. I feel like the friendship level actually rises a bit too quickly, so I actually have to like tone it down a lot. Okay, so since they didn't really get first impressions of each other, what I'm going to do is I'm going to regenerate first impressions between these two Sims. She thinks he's pretentious. Well, he is a crown prince and he is really smart. I think this comes from the fact that she is not as intelligent as Argus. So Argus was very much on the same level as Bethany in terms of intelligence, whereas Aoi is not as bright, but Argus finds her interesting. Okay, I'm just gonna teleport Ariana here because I never really had a first impression for Ariana, so I'm going to do that regenerate first impressions for Ariana. They weren't particularly great. He thinks that she's dramatic and she thinks he's pretentious. Why does Bethany look like the best candidate for now? I wasn't intending this in the slightest. Don't forget that Argus is still very much in love with Iris, but he knows that he has to do something because Mariposa's succession is in jeopardy right now. So pretend he's been away for like a month or two, just visiting all these different kingdoms, and this part will be after the tour, so it's kind of like rounding up those 3 candidates. Also, you'll be able to see them in a place that's not the dark. So I'm gonna have Argus get to know all of these girls. So I'm only doing friendly interactions at the moment. I'm not really doing romantic. I feel like he would just want to at least be civil with these girls. Oh no, not the future cube! I cannot take this! Weak compatibility with a Leo. Who's the Leo? I'm curious, who's the Leo? It's not Bethany, because Bethany's a Capricorn, according to this. Not in canon, but like according to the mod, she's a Capricorn, so I wonder who he's not compatible with. According to a mod, he's not compatible with Ariana. Okay, I did not set any of these likes and dislikes. Maybe it's the neighborhood stories update. So Aoi is a player. She's hilarious. She has a sense of flavor. She's an Aries, naturally skinny, fast learner, and she can build relationships pretty quickly. Ariana is literally just like, I'm going to the bar. Lady Leica is being quite, she's got a bit of a mood on her right now, but I feel like Leica is a little bit irritated by this. Thank God Iris isn't here, because I feel like Iris just went downstairs to like cry. Oh my God. I can literally just imagine her just crying if she was actually in here right now. It seems like, just from the way the Sims are interacting, that either Bethany or Aoi are the most likely candidates for Argus. Okay, now Yulia is down here. Okay, that's what the royal greeting looks like apparently. But okay, just imagine them doing that to her, because it doesn't really make sense the other way around. So the thing that makes Bethany different from Aoi and Ariana is that these two have been made ladies. Ariana is Lady of Hallie because she was made Lucille's lady-in-waiting. She's also the royal nanny of Felix, Adrian and Orion. Okay, so everybody is going now, so I found that pretty interesting. Definitely went on a tangent that I was not expecting, and this portion definitely took longer than I was expecting it ever to. Just don't tell Iris you have a crush on him, please. You're gonna break her heart more than it already is. Okay, so we are in the household of Jonathan's sister Eleanor, Anthony's mother. So we have Anthony, and Anthony has actually been through quite a lot. So I actually posted a load of story posts on this. I felt like I could do his story a lot better justice on my Instagram account. During that story post, we learn that Anthony has been publicly outed. So in my episode notes, I will actually have a summary of their story so far. Also, I will have links to all of the story posts, and there is 6 of them. But before he is publicly outed, he actually comes out to his mom with the help of his cousin Loki. Now Loki and Lucille and him are just so close. They are like siblings even though they're cousins. So he was incredibly grateful for their support. Now Anthony is currently very embarrassed. He's also very sad as well. And Eleanor is so tense right now, because I feel like in The Sims, tense is kind of a mix of different emotions. But poor Anthony, oh my God. My episode notes on his story actually do a lot better of a job of putting it into words. Since Anthony was publicly outed, Michael has actually been staying with Eleanor and Sonia, as well as Anthony as well, because he has been hounded by the press as well. He wants to support Anthony. They both actually really like each other. However, Anthony and Michael have stopped short of becoming boyfriends, mainly because Anthony dealing with the realization of his sexuality and also his duties as a prince as well. But I think the main thing to point out is that Michael said to stop short of becoming boyfriends, mainly because he wants Anthony to be comfortable with this. Oh, he cried on him. Oh, they're so cute. Are they gonna slow dance? Yes, they're gonna slow dance. And you can tell that Anthony was the one who asked him to slow dance. I think Anthony has become incredibly comfortable with him, and especially with everything going on, he wants that extra support to be more permanent. I feel like it's a big step for Anthony himself to actually ask Michael to be his boyfriend, because sure, Michael could ask Anthony to be his boyfriend, but having it come from Anthony is the most important thing. Also, they could have their first kiss. They could have a magical kiss. Do we do it? Do we have a magical kiss in the air? Oh. And they just finished their slow dance as well. He's asking again. So one thing I will say is that they probably might argue here and there. That is because Anthony is a hot-headed sim. He's a very emotional kind of person. It doesn't mean he doesn't not love him any less. But that was his first kiss. Okay, I think I'm gonna have Anthony ask him to be boyfriends with him. Oh, they're cute. They're so cute. I love them. And even though he's in the middle of a media firestorm, at least he has the right support through it, especially with his cousins, his mom, his aunt, his uncle, and now his boyfriend as well. It's so sweet. So currently we are in the household of Verona, and King James I is actually hanging up his crown and retiring, being the monarch. I think in his mind he is getting on in his years, and also he just wants to spend his time with his grandchildren, because Verona has a lot of grandchildren, and also he has a very capable son who is already his co-monarch, and he's already been giving him responsibilities over the years anyway. So it's kind of come to a point where King James I is going to become the former King James. This decision from King James I actually influences King Jonathan of Loka, Loki's dad. They're all being cute. Okay, Loki and Elijah were being absolutely adorable, and then Thea and Rocket were being completely adorable as well. Oh my god. But we are now in the household of Loka, because the decision held in Verona actually holds a little bit of weight in Loka as well. Now, the reason for this is that James and Jonathan are actually longtime friends. Back in their youth, they were actually supposed to marry each other's wives, and the story behind them two was one big giant wife swap. So as a result, Jonathan married River and James married Veronica. And Jonathan, I think, has seen that James is retiring and hanging up his crown to spend more time with his grandchildren and just be more of a family man. Now, Jonathan actually decided to let Loki have a little bit more freedom, especially when it came to her children, because having Kai was so difficult on her, and when she said she wanted to try for a second child, Jonathan postponed any inkling of upping her responsibilities as crown princess as soon as she announced, oh, I want to start trying for another baby. But now that Thea is with us, I think Jonathan will definitely take that step to actually start more rigorous training with Loki. Obviously, she's a crown princess. She has been training her entire life to be a monarch. I feel like the more intensive training actually comes a little bit later on. So as Jonathan's learned from experience, he's going to transfer that experience onto Loki as time goes on. Oh my god, these two! Loki! Oh my god! Okay, just to clarify, I don't think Thea would be walking, it's just I had to do it for the preset. Something I will also mention is that Jonathan actually really misses River, and I actually posted a mini story post where Loki and Elijah actually went on a date night, and so Jonathan put Kai and Thea to bed, and the story post was more so about him putting Thea to bed. Something interesting to note is Henlin and Loka aren't the only ones with a matrilineal heritage. So even though the matrilineal heritage actually got passed on through Sonia and then Lucille for Loka, so it's now in the Hallie royal line, there was a matrilineal heritage in Leiluna, and Leiluna's matrilineal heritage went through River, Loki, and now it's Thea. And in that story post, the ghost of River made an appearance. It was so sad, yet so sweet at the same time. The ghost of River. And behind Jonathan right now, you can actually see a really sketchy illustration that I did. I think that illustration was actually the initial design for River when putting her into the comic. Also in the background, you can see a picture of his mother, Anastasia, and his father, Nathaniel. So now we are in the household of Quillo, and we're with little Prince Lucian. It seems as if Spiro, his dad, has actually come and visited. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, they're so cute. I love them. So there was a comment in the last episode that basically talked about Never and also Typhy, as well as Briar and Callan as well. So there is actually some paragraphs that relate to those three topics. The kingdom of Quillo was never fully developed. It was never fully integrated into my character universe, at least not fully like the other kingdoms were. So basically, Never's story revolved around Spiro. She was a character that was introduced into Spiro's story. So I am hoping that this Sim series will actually help develop that story. But during the character creation process, when I was making Never, it definitely felt right to make her asexual and aromantic. Not saying that those two things are exactly the same, but my character creation process, while in my artwork, and also while I'm building up a story, can actually be pretty different to how other people create their characters and create their stories. Not just Never, but pretty much every character I consider not even a complete character. I consider them a work in progress, because even as real life people, we're all work in progresses. Okay? So when I'm creating a character is also made up of their experiences. So this might give you a little bit of insight into my character creation process. If you've ever watched any of my character creation videos, Instagram designs my characters over on my art channel. But when in my character creation process and also adding it into my character universe, I ask so many questions. I ask the questions as if to say, what if they were a real person? What would they be like? Their likes and dislikes. Usually when in my character creation process, I actually go really deep into the details, all while figuring out what they would look like as well, because sometimes their likes and dislikes can influence what they look like. Their status can influence how they dress and how they hold themselves. So character creation for me isn't just like one and done with like different sections of a character. It's more or less you're doing pretty much everything simultaneously. But the fact that I made Quillo part of this series, as well as part of my character universe in general, is because I wanted to develop it. I wanted to improve it over time. The idea for Spiro's story was that he would have a love triangle kind of thing, but Never was never really the jealous type, or at least that's how it came across during the character creation period. In my mind, she would actually secretly be shipping this. Even though she is going to marry Spiro and have a child together, she's kind of secretly shipping Eliana and Spiro. When drawing the two characters together and when creating the two characters alongside each other, they never seemed very romantic to me, so I actually decided there and then that Neva wasn't really that bothered by relationships in general. Obviously that's her duty, but she was never bothered. I'm sorry, but Lucian is like so cute. He's so cute. I can't. I love that Spiro is just making time out of his day for his little boy. I think there are times where Lucian actually does spend in Cinderash with Spiro and his little sisters, but Spiro definitely does make an effort to actually make sure that his son and him get quality time alone. So some households that I'm not going to be popping into, yet I do have something to say about, are actually Typhy as well as Briar and Callan. Now, what I wanted to say about them is available in my script notes, so I will allow you to read ahead if you want to find out more about what I've got to say about them. Basically, it's just going over how I imagine their relationship dynamics to be, because Briar and Callan don't seem to be the kind of people to go out of their way to actually have children. However, I do think that there is a case for them to have children and the reasons behind it. That also goes with Typhy. So Typhy and Hayako having kids, especially with Typhy being pregnant with their second child and the family pressure from both sides. In hindsight, quite slightly problematic peer pressure situation about having a second baby. However, there is also a case for them as well, I think. Everyone has their own reasons why they do what they do, and for me personally, my past experiences actually influence a lot of what I do in the future. For example, in my own experience, my mum and dad split up and there wasn't a very good relationship there. So my natural response would be to try and find somebody who I won't split up from, or I would try and make my life better in the way that it wasn't during my childhood, if that makes sense. So this is the last thing of this episode. I was not planning at all to show the baby off, but while I was trying to take screenshots of pregnant Typhy yesterday, I realised that Typhy had given birth without me again. So I thought, why not? It's Christmas and New Year, so why not actually show off this baby? Also, I'm excited. I'm doing this about 30 minutes before I start work. So this is little Akio. He's so cute. I love him. Oh yes, Typhy did have a baby boy. I justified showing off Akio in this episode so that way we can actually get to the aftermath of the birth in the new year. But oh my god, he's so cute. He definitely looks like his dad, especially with his hair colour and his eye colour. But his mum is showing through, especially in the freckles. And looking at his profile, he definitely has Typhy's jawline, because I actually took tester screenshots and put them on my extras Instagram account, and I noticed that Typhy had quite a sharp jawline in those. So looking at the profile here, you can kind of see Typhy in the profile a little bit. Obviously he's a toddler right now, so you can't really fully tell. But yes, this is Akio. I love him so much. Also, this little guy is a wild child. But yes, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I don't know whether I'll get up a new episode before the end of the year, so if I don't, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye guys!